It's not 16. You're driving by someone's bedroom window. And let me add this. He can leave here, let's say we deny this. He could sue for adverse possession on us. I could imagine if that house is held that vacant alley for 21 years and it would take a court action for him to get half the alley.
Look, this has been shot down before. This is the first time.
I don't have any use.
Did you check your truck?
So we have. On the real action.
You just gonna wait for it to not start? Oh, you have backup vehicles.
Right?
I think we can.
That house has been vacant since 2012, 2013. Oh my
I
God.
unplugged my phone charger since you said that. I was like, okay, wait, I'm not taking any more.
Parked inside that house. So they were sitting in that alley. So I've been there, you know, I've had it for how long, right? You said half those houses, vacant, unoccupied, vacant. It's just a list of comments, right? And look at Land Bank Revitalization Act. I mean, that's the storybook, that's how it should be, right? If I can get that out and go to that, it's gonna have all the other houses in this road.
Well, let me ask you, and then I'm gonna have to let, you can, I know you're sitting there. You just give me just a second here. You satisfied with half an alley? You vacate half the alley and leave the southern half so that he would have possible.
I don't know, I'd have to have that measured, I'd have to hear that, I can't hear it. I can tell you that the ideal of what we're proposing to be there is huge.
I'm here tonight.
Ingress or regress, where from where you and I are currently. I have said this, and I have said it just a little bit. We intend to be good neighbors.
Pretty cool.
If there's a way, along the lines, and I've thought about something, I haven't thought about it, but there's a way, and maybe it's half dozen one way, half dozen the other, what you're saying. If there's a way to take 893, by the way, that garage is a sound structure, and it will become bad before this whole thing is over. But, if you can get 8932, 8933, 897, we're all neighbors, we can all figure out how to redo this alley. Take that, go in somewhere where he feels comfortable, and then widen it over onto her land a little bit, onto 8933 a little bit, and make it a different traffic pattern. Maybe that is possible, but there are also other ways.
What's it, 6:30?
Go to 866.
We get our meeting today is January.
And ask them to, let up on some of their land so he can actually put a garage up.
I think this start here for an alley budget regions.
Oh, I get it.
You'd have to bring that before council and let them decide in the mayor's office, but that's not here, Tim.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying, there are other ways to get this to work. Yeah.
One nation under
Yeah,
God,
we would be
indivisible,
I think
with
the that
liberty
alley
and
has
justice for all.
been vacated since it was platted. And as a councilman, I can tell you, I have never
Most of
had
these meetings are
any
also.
use for an abandoned
Slip my
alley.
attention, but most
I
of them
believe
have
the city
prayer.
should go
I'm not a
forward
preacher, so.
and
if the
separate
commission
these
decides
alleys
They would like
and
that.
hand them off,
Please bring that up,
because
but
they create such a
they didn't give
maelstrom
one. So,
of, as soon as someone wants to ride a motorbike down the grass stretch,
roll call, please.
cops can't prosecute them because they got a tag on their motorcycle, except for driving through everyone's yard.
Present.
That is just something in the city that needs to go away. So when I see someone that has used it for a driveway, gravel it in, I'm already looking at it as, you know what, if they go to common police court, claim adverse possession, 21 years, they've adversely possessed it by
The
parking
first
there.
order of business
It's
is some old
obvious to
business.
everyone.
I need to mix this up a little bit. First, I'd like
Well,
to
good, I'm glad
welcome
you
our
would,
newest
because
member,
frankly,
which is Amanda
you
Russell.
don't own his neighbor's house.
Sharon is
She is
no longer with
allowed
us.
to close her
She
portion of
was
the
the
alley.
chairman of this board, so it's probably best that we elect a new chairman and a vice chairman officially. And get that order of business out of the way, and then we'll start the rest of the
Ms.
meeting.
Johnson, thank you for
again,
investing in Marion. I
Welcome,
appreciate
Amanda.
that. Second,
All right, then,
kind of
I'll
sort of to
entertain any
Mr.
motions for chairman.
Daniel's point, and I completely understand that Mr. Kilduff doesn't want any portion of the alley vacated. how much of the
That's
alley
what
do
I'm
you
filling in
need?
for tonight, that's what I'm
Well,
doing.
yeah,
If you could do the half,
Mr. Daniels.
I'll second that.
So,
Gosh,
if I
thanks,
go past the house, if I was imagining me driving a car back
He's
there,
good, too.
there's the area where the
Are there
woods
any other nominations?
are grown up,
Mhm.
right?
Motion to close.
So you'd have to be
Motion
cutting
to
in
close
between the corner of that
nominations.
house and then where those woods are grown up, you can get a car. So where those woods are
All
grown
in
up,
favor,
is
signify
somewhere
by saying aye.
coming off that ranch.
Opposed?
Right, so
Vice Chairman,
his, if we look at.
nominations for that.
yeah.
8932, that corner parcel owned by Melissa Conley, you know, her parcel is.
You can
50
nominate
feet wide.
yourself.
So we know that, you know,
That
that
gets it moving.
kind of gets right in alignment with the house in question here, 407 Evans.
So if I'm looking at the GIS
Yeah.
map,
Yeah.
the back of 8933 says 56.5 feet.
I'll
So
second
I would be
that.
talking about where the point
Have
is.
a motion and a
So where
second.
that point is,
Second
he would
for
need
Mr.
from that point
Dunstan,
forward,
motion to
Like maybe,
Approve.
because that would put him in the middle of where he wants to be.
Second, about a middle of
All right.
that.
Correct.
80,
I should have said all in
So,
favor.
and the,
Now I'm
yes,
losing my grip.
28
All in favor signify by saying aye.
completely
Aye.
understand. Now, to,
Now motion to close nominations.
So moved.
Tickled death.
Motion
So
and
she's
second, all
gonna
in
give me
favor
her half.
signify by
So
saying
it's one.
aye.
Aye.
All right, now we're in.
now I understand.
Yeah,
And
only, yeah, only on the
Very
50
good.
feet, though, you only have that.
So,
First order of business.
Mr. Kildall's
are
point,
new definitions
I
for
hear
zoning.
everything you're saying from your commercial development standpoint, but you have also made the point that you are not willing to
This is
commit.
really just a
at all
summary of what we
to
did
what's
last
going in
time.
there.
I don't know if we actually. I thought we
Well, why would you need the alley?
We send it on official.
Oh, I needed this
to,
For what?
For
zoning
the commercial
committee
development on
of
this site.
city
It's
planning
only
and boards of
933.
city council.
Right.
I do want to make sure you're comfortable.
8934 originally was a
Definitions.
venue that was a house
The
that
other
come
thing
down,
I
a
did-
full-on built in this place.
I'll start with the
Once
record.
required 8881 and
Definitions
8880.
as I
We got what we
understood
wanted.
what we were
The full barn's already built.
agreeing upon.
Back in that back area right
It
there.
was sticking
Tear
with
the house
the
down, turn all into
state,
parking.
uh,
Even to open the
definition
chicken
of
house, we need
recreational
parking on
use,
the
adult use cannabis or marijuana.
Okay.
which
Um,
we'll get to the top
And
about
then
parking. If you go to
state,
stop at home,
dispensary definition.
Blacktop back there, you'll see
The
that
opioid
it's
treatment
harmed,
program,
the
an
status
outpatient
of the
program,
area.
and then again, they're
Horrible.
defined under
But
Ohio
back in the day,
Administrative Code
you
and
know, at the
federal.
mall, you've got to have X amount of parking spots. So they put 'em
The
up.
office-based
So
opioid
in our
treatment
conversations about
programs,
this
also
little
kind
chicken
of,
place here, we found that
defined
we're
elsewhere
gonna
and
need
things, so we're
parking.
kind of going with that. And
So
then
that
the,
kind of changed some things.
recovery housing, the
So,
three levels,
when,
residents,
I think it's great, I think that house
residents
is
take
a little bit, I
responsibility
think
for
that's
themselves,
outrageous.
legally living as a household with no supported
We want to give up the
an
value of the
operator,
ideal of
typically
what we
single-family
like to put.
home.
And,
One paid staff doesn't
So,
have zero or
have I answered your question, is what we
Especially if there's already a restaurant there.
Are involved
There's
in
already
self-help
It's
and
done.
treatment
It's just
services, located primarily in
That's on 893.
One times, three residents are leased
So-
independent, having a full-time staff with,
Are you
residents,
suggesting that
focus on life
you would
skills,
use
clinical
the
services,
alley
office,
as
office,
part of a
and
drive-through to
really
this?
offered in the community, these are located in a variety of residential settings. We talked about that definition
Which
of
what you're
family,
proposing was part of it.
Yeah.
because that became an issue,
What you're saying for those
in
two
the
lots.
recovery housing thing is, because we talked about the ones that use somebody as a household unit, or family.
There are food trucks parked there.
Had,
This is a venue.
He would have.
You could come there.
a definition of family in it. We talked about, in this case, a person living alone, or two or more persons, and putting in there regardless of
But
the
you're
relationship,
suggesting
like
that
marriage,
traffic
adoption, or
will be leading
guardianship. That
down
way,
an
we're
alley?
not judging,
Well,
you know,
if you look
a
at,
family living together as a single housekeeping unit in a dwelling unit.
Like I said, these pictures are
A group occupying a nursing home, rest home, convalescent home, halfway house, recovery house, as defined by the Ohio Revised Code, boarding house, lodging house, lodging house, hotel, motel, fraternity, or sorority house is not considered a family
Or you
within this
can
zoning
turn to
code.
your right
So
and
again,
head right down
trying
this
to
alley.
differentiate between those, maybe congregate living arrangements that are not necessarily
Down
as
the
a
line, I'm saying, that's what I mean.
household
So,
unit, or that's not what we're
to your
defining as
point,
family.
I'm
Those
sorry.
other
you're
things
fine.
are
If
things
I'm
that
reading
are,
what
whether
ODOT
it's
just
currently
said,
a boarding house lodging,
if
all
you
those
were to
other
take the
things are
steps to
already
take
defined in our
8934,
zoning
8933 and
code.
combine
So
them
we're
into
just
one
trying
thing
to
and make it a parking lot,
clarify,
you'd have a much higher likelihood of
going
getting access on
forward,
the State Route 4
we
than
say
you would.
something single family,
With
family
getting
is
that, when that
this
puts you
sort
right
of a
on
thing,
Route 4.
when
And they
one member of
voiced
the
that they're not gonna
family
do multiple
gets
access points
relocated,
to Route 4.
everybody goes with them, you know, they're
Right.
a unit, versus somebody that, you know, everybody has their own bedroom, they're coming and going independent of one another,
Right.
which we all felt was kind of what that fluidity was what complicated the recovery in some of the other situations, was that everybody had their own timeframe in which they might come and go from that structure.
Let me add a
So
thought.
that was my attempt at,
Make it clear.
based on our, what the
Mr.
code said
Johnson,
and our
Let's
understanding
say
of
we
the
do
conversation,
bifurcate
that
this
that's
alley
what
and we
we
close
would
the
change
northern half
family
of it.
to state.
A portion of that
It was clear that we were, the stuff that's in the
lot
italics
number
is what I was
8933,
to that
half of that alley
definition.
would go to lot 8934.
Also,
You'd end up
Mr.
with
Daniels
6.5
had
feet
brought up
on one
the
side.
topic
He would
of
end up with another
overcrowding.
6.5 feet.
We looked into
Right, now,
that
it
as
sounds
a
like the first
subject
50
matter.
feet, you would end up with 6.5 feet. And your neighbor would
There have
get
been a lot of different
6.5
studies, and
feet.
they
And
looked
she
at three
sounds
main points.
as if
And
she's
so what I
willing
did
to
was
deed
take
that
all
over to
three of
you.
those points, and
So
if
that
you
you would end
can't
up with a 13-foot
satisfy,
driveway that's
you know,
50 foot
all
long.
of the conditions,
And then
you
would narrow
probably
itself, your
are
rights would stop
overcrowding. If you can meet one of them,
at the
maybe you're
6.5
okay,
foot
but those
mark.
conditions are, okay, circumstances
Because you
in
couldn't-
dwellings where health and
I
safety
don't
concerns are
believe, unless
raised due to
Mr.
total
Kildall's involved in
occupancy
that you would be able to
exceeding
drive a
all
car
of the following
to
conditions.
the end of your
One
driveway
person per
and have
room
enough
other than a
room to get
bedroom.
around the house and park in the back.
More than
Two
two
comments
persons
with
per
that.
bedroom of the
So
dwelling
when I run
unit,
the
and
off that house,
a minimum of
where you can visually
165
say,
square
that's the
foot
end.
per person
It's
within the
20.
dwelling unit.
it is all day
So,
long, 20, 21 feet.
This
Right,
would
so I ran that
allow
gravel
if
20
somebody's,
feet
you know, you
off the
got
house.
3 bedrooms
So,
in the living room, and maybe
being
somebody's sleeping in the living room, that's not our business.
commercial aspect,
You know,
get along
because
with
you
the
have 3
neighborhood,
bedrooms,
right?
but you have 4 rooms, as
If
long
this
as you're not
gentleman here can
exceeding,
run it up to 8933, and I'm
you
gonna run
know,
it all the
more
way to
than one
20,
person per
we'll split it in the
room,
middle.
or if you've got some
And
giant
then
house
he
and,
can still have access,
maybe
and
only
he
have a
comes
couple
in here
of
and he goes
bedrooms,
back out the same way.
huge, you know,
Right, he has
bedroom style,
access
you know, maybe
coming
an
off
old
State
mansion or something.
Or he has
If
access
we
coming
can
off
get
Smith.
where everybody
He's
has more
one
than
third
165
access.
square
There's a lot of
foot
things I want,
per
right? We gotta
person,
work with
we're
each other.
probably not in
So I'm willing to compromise by coming halfway in the middle of his
overcrowding
property. I
situation.
get all
You
the
know,
winds,
They
park
had
in
a
there,
variety of
makes
different
sense, goes in
studies
line with
across
all the
the
other houses on the
country,
street.
and it always kind
And
of
then
came
I'm
down
able to
to,
pull behind the house
you know,
if need be.
one of
and he's
those
able to pull
things. I
behind the
thought if
garage
we
if need
said,
be. Right, so at the end of the day, we wanna work together.
But
if you can meet all of those things,
that's
you're,
just not the way it
you know,
works.
if you can't meet
I know
any
in a
of all
rural
of them,
situation, when you
then,
vacate,
yeah, if you can meet one, you're probably
others have said,
fine.
half of it goes to one owner on one
But
side,
if you
half of it
can't,
goes the other side.
if you meet all of them, you're
Irregardless
probably
of
not
what we do here
overcrowding,
tonight,
you know, I mean,
the maximum you
you're
can
only
do here
overcrowding
tonight is
if,
that 50 feet
um,
from, on
you
8932. And you have your
all-
lovely neighbor there that's willing to give you her half.
yeah, you have,
take
in
that.
order to be over, yeah, you have to.
You're gonna come to the
fail
point, I'm judging by this
all of them.
conversation, just guessing,
That's what I'm
Mr.
trying to say,
Kildall's not
I'm
gonna
sorry.
give you his
Does
half
that
of
make sense? I'll let you read through it again, it's the last.
Are
one
you
there.
willing,
Um,
does that still solve your problem by
only if we
vacating
exceed all
that
of
much of the
these
alley?
conditions.
Because we can't control the fact I mentioned before.
I would change the
That's
word
just the
all
way it
for
is.
any.
Half of it's gonna go,
Then that
if
means
Mr. Kildall
that
owns 8933.
somebody could have a huge house,
So if I take the first 50 feet, it's just between me and the
Yeah.
house.
Yes.
And then they
okay,
chokes
I
off
mean, that
that.
would become more
alley.
strict.
Right, so you
The
talk-
other is gonna be more,
Right.
So if that's,
less
so I just can't get access to
say,
the
oh, and
backyard.
that's fine, but I
If
want
they
to
want-
clarify.
if they wanna
I
drive
just
a
want
car
to make
back
sure
there.
that's what you wanted.
they want to build a garage.
I'm not saying that's a thing we're doing, that's just the fact
My
of the matter. If
My
that
gut would tell me that if you have a house
that's
that's
the way it's on.
2,500
And then you're
square
not willing
feet,
to commit to giving up
well, for
halfway through 8933?
So,
Let's
You know,
keep
my
my
I can't make any decisions
say
like
this
that
house
sitting
is
here right now.
1,650
I would have poured all of you, put it in.
You could fit
It's really gonna
10
look-
people
These pictures do not
a
do
home
what we're talking about here.
Sir, I did go
a
there.
little
because I
larger than
conducted a
maybe
site visit, and I'm a
three-bedroom
dysfunctional veteran that has not had his meds yet.
Now, you
Now
wouldn't be
then,
able, let's say that you wanted 10 in there.
What's the process for widening
Probably
the alley?
would not
Just
be
a
able
question.
to meet
Okay,
the
so
bedroom
the same as
requirement.
this, so, that's what I
Such
want
as
to get
if it
into
were
a
a
little
boarding
bit, because
house,
it's also will
that would be a
inform
different
Mr. Phil about
scenario.
what we're looking to do. Basically, you're dedicated.
I would think that they're
of street,
independent
just like as
in
if we were
such a
doing
way
a
that
subdivision
it's
and we
one
were going to
person
make a new street.
in
We're gonna
any
widen
room.
a street, those property owners could dedicate
That's 1,650
There's a
square
rate,
feet, if it
sell,
only
or
had one
give,
bedroom,
whatever,
the other
that
portions
right
of
of
the house are
way
gonna be
to
chopped
the
into
city to
pieces.
become part of the alley.
So those would count as
So-
one, as long as you didn't go
What
to
I'm
10.
hearing Mr. Kildall say
Or
is his
two were in a
potential
bedroom,
future
well, two could be
program,
in that
you know,
bedroom, and two
plan
could be in
might
that
be something
bedroom,
where he's kind of
one in the cellar and one in the closet.
arranging all of those, parcels into
So I
one
would say that those
sort of
three
a venue
statements
with multiple
are not
ways ins and out,
conclusive
and if
together,
you
I think they're separate.
You could adjust even between you and the city, the alley location, it could become already on your property, let's say, or whatever, there's
Well,
different things.
not in this case, because his property is to the right, the left, excuse me, standing from the picture I'm looking at, this is to the left, I don't know what you got. But, and then, this Melissa Conley, hers is
So
to
just
the
change it
right.
exceeding.
So, the best way I've heard it said
That's
so
what I
far,
would-
Yes,
this
okay,
one
that
here
would
said,
be-
you know, the best that you can even do is
So if you
you get
can't
to
meet
the
any
tip
single
of
one of
8933, and you can get her to give you hers, and you would have his, and then all of a sudden, but what you really have there is you don't have a way to get to the rear of this.
Yeah, are you saying that you only have to meet
867,
one? we
Which
have
is
to
the
meet one,
desired,
meet all. That's-
and should be the desired, place
Well,
for parking
this is
in
my
or
opinion.
garage.
I don't think that in
Everybody
reality,
working together to get it
that
done.
these overlap.
I'm not trying to be
For
offensive
instance,
to that guy.
I'm gonna have to
there.
go through maybe an example or two.
But I can tell you
so we
this,
get better
if you go here and you
Let's
look at
take that
this, this
1,650 square foot
Right,
house.
that's fine.
You can understand.
It's
better
divided
what he's
into
telling
7
you,
rooms.
You can understand
Two
better
of
what
which
I'm
are
telling you.
bedrooms.
You can see
Each
it
of
for
the 2
yourself.
bedrooms
The cutting
could
in
have
half and
2
all, you
people
can see it for
in each of
yourself.
those bedrooms.
So I have a question.
That's 4 people.
If-
That would leave a remainder of 5
I think if you look at
rooms,
the photo
which could
here,
qualify
I mean, I think you can see how
a
that
person
alley.
per room. So you
is. I
could
think
not only
Dan's
have
mentioned
2 in each bedroom,
pretty
which
much
is 4, you would have 5
been
allowed
right past the
for
side of the house. I mean,
the other
So
5
to answer your
rooms.
question,
Is it not?
However,
to get that.
you wouldn't
to that
go above
50-foot
10,
mark, It's bedroom.
because now you would skip over the
Chokes
165
up, it
square foot mark.
cuts out on the short end.
And I don't think we probably
I want
want
to play ball and not throw the whole thing.
10 people living on,
I would be willing to do this.
you know, a
I'd be willing
house
to
that's
take that alley
effectively
personally.
50
I'm not
by
speaking for anyone here,
30
but I'd be
feet.
willing to take that alley and
That's
cut
a
it
whole lot
in.
of parking.
And then what's
Um,
remaining after the 28 feet that he owns 6.5 feet of and you own 6.5 feet of?
Is that
You
a
and
good
you can
example?
horse trade.
Yeah, they might,
I
the
don't
only,
know, I've
well,
been in land
what
development
you're
a long
saying is
time, and
that,
this thing
you know,
started up.
what we were saying was
Someone's interested in your backyard.
not,
So
This whole thing.
you can
people per
negotiate a
bedroom
land
plus
swap and then
one
get his
person
6.5
per
feet and now have
bedroom.
access to the majority of the back of your yard.
these are just 3 different
But that's not
definitions
for us,
that
that's a
bounce around the
suggestion for you.
literature of
This part.
overcrowding. So one way you can slice
This
it,
is it.
you know, the definition is say 1 person per room of the house.
Just like
The other way you can say.
Hey, no, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, just real quick, no offense.
Yeah.
I didn't hear anything that was just said because there's 9 different
And
conversations.
then the
going
third
on.
was going by square
So-
footage.
Can we focus on one single conversation at a time, please?
We can.
Thank you. That would have been
Because
one
I think
person per
Mr.
room.
Johnson was trying to make a point, and I apologize, but I couldn't
2
hear
persons per
anything he
bedroom,
was saying.
that'd
I
be
apologize, sir.
4. Please.
So,
It's not
That's
human.
what had come
And
here.
that-
If you're willing to
yeah,
take
you're not adding
it
them
down to
together.
the 50,
We wouldn't
And then
have a
as a
person
result of
per
the second
bedroom, it's
process,
either gotta
here, I
be
get
2
the land
people per
survey.
bedroom or 1 person per room.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what
but then
we're
if we
coming up with.
vacate that
So,
alley halfway down
instead of and, could we
8933,
do
I get
one?
my half,
Yeah,
he
on the
keeps his
last
half.
one, or-
Well, allow
Because-
one person per room other than a
This-
bedroom, or
Map here, it doesn't do it justice. Like I
Or
said, come off the
third
house
way
to
that
the edge of the alley,
just
it's 20.
meet in the middle, you know, we,
Put the land survey guy.
you must meet any one of these, you brought up the idea, you must.
So
meet
if
all
I
of
get
these.
50 feet, if I can get the whole alley, I'll
You
get it
must
from Melissa and Lynn.
pass 2 out of the 3 of these
And then
steps.
if I can vacate half, he keeps his half. that sort of thing.
You
You
can
can
still
still
get
get access there, still get out.
If we call them 1, 2, and 3, you can meet
Right, so I'll work
1
together, that's all.
or 2,
So, thank you.
but you have to do at least 3. I mean, you think that
Oh, yeah, that's-
3 is a
that's-
minimum,
Mr.
you know what I mean?
Kettle, I
You have to do
apologize.
at least-
If I'm
The third
correct,
one being the,
the
For
main
sure.
issue you have
You have to
is
have at
you want to
least-
maintain
So you
access
could
So
put-
that one is the more,
to your
I'll take
properties,
that back.
and you'd like to use the alley to do
It's
so.
the third
Is that
one,
correct?
that's 665 per person in the
Um,
dwelling unit. That would be the one that actually. goes
I believe so, yes.
to this
Okay.
area. So, okay,
Yes.
If,
what do you think?
not saying that we
Well, I have
do this or
questions.
can
My
do
first
this,
question
if
is,
we said,
this overcrowding,
if you allow him to
is
have
it for the purpose
as
of
much of the alley needed to
recovery
come
housing?
just to the
No.
tippy tip of the
I
garage
mean,
on
I-
830,
This,
on
and I
89,
wasn't necessarily
33.
gonna put it in.
And you say,
um,
fine, he can have that, that gives him
zoning
access to his
code,
backyard.
but
And we
we
said,
talked about
we'll go
that,
ahead and vacate the rest of the alley to
locally
you
there
and
may
allow you
be
to
So,
a desire
widen
to
it,
have
to get cars in and out of there.
crowding.
Are we gonna
Why
differentiate
wouldn't
between
why
this
wouldn't
is
you
what
just
it is
leave the
moving
alley
forward
as it
and
is?
everybody in Marion's already grandfathered in?
And I don't know
Because
about how that
if
works.
this is the definition, which I don't have a problem with,
I've heard.
we've had that
somebody say
conversation in the
before
past that Marion lots are small and they put small houses on them. And my house is 800 square feet and it's just me and it's a house. So I don't have a problem. But if a family of 5 were to move into my house, we would have a real big
What is
problem,
the harm of?
real
of this
fast.
being
So,
an alley
for people who
and,
already have
being,
small houses that
allowing
they've
him
bought,
access to the backside of his property.
are we gonna
by
say,
coming in off
oh, you
of
and your
the
family of
street
5 can no longer live
straight
in
in?
that small house and we can figure something else
It's
out?
the same thing you're asking me to do, it's just a little different.
No.
Why not?
I think we
leave
were.
it
I'm
to
just
that
asking.
And let it.
And then this was
let
gonna
this
be in
property
circumstances
owners,
as dwellings where health and
colonies,
safety
whoever
concerns are
come
raised
unbounded
due
into
to,
this,
so maybe
the
if we
backside of the
find there
city,
doesn't seem to be a health
into some
hazard,
form of
maybe
parking
it's not an
once
issue,
trees and
but-
that type of stuff is removed. It's the same thing.
So the honest
There was
answer
kind
is
of
reading the
that
room, is
question
that
of,
this vote's gonna go his way.
Well, look, I didn't.
At what
So,
point does something
I'm
become
just-
overcrowding?
No, I understand.
And I
I'm saying,
understand
if we're trying to
the
really,
sentiment, but
if we're being good
And I
stewards and good
agree
neighbors, which
with
is
Mr.
what we're
Daniels,
trying to
but
do here.
in my
The
opinion.
thing to do is to
in
come
this-
to a
this-
win-win community for everybody.
The
And come to a win-win
overcrowding
question
question
becomes
becomes
a
a
slippery
understanding
slope
business
real
real
fast. Everybody's gonna be a little upset.
To where we're going to be telling
That's how
some people
you
yes
know
and some people
we've
no.
reached an agreement that everybody
And
can live with, but if we didn't all get what we
no
want.
intentions going
So-
to affect
I got-
families who
I
have
got a-
been where they've
I got
been
a question.
in the neighborhood they've been
No,
in
go ahead.
for generations.
If the alley remained
So-
open like it
Be
is,
comfortable to
I
nothing
don't-
prevents
not
him
here's
from
the
building
thing,
a
I don't
garage
know
out
the
behind
answer
the house, right?
So-
He could utilize the alley
That's
anytime he
fine.
wanted to go to his garage.
Let's have this conversation. This arose. This is the reality
It would
in
be
the
up to
state
the
of
owners
Ohio.
around there to maintain the alley.
Well, if they wanted to use it to go to the
There are
garage
protected
behind the
classes,
thing, otherwise they have to
particularly
rely
for
on the
housing.
city to keep the
That's
potholes
governed
filled,
by,
which we're probably not gonna do because
The
it's a
Federal
not improved
Home
alley.
Administration,
I got what you're saying.
Housing Administration, that's governed by HUD. Those two agencies are federal. It's also governed by the Ohio Civil Rights Commission in Columbus at the state level.
Right? You make it good, you make it solid.
The
but
unfortunate
building a
part
Garage
with
out back, that's a considerably more expensive.
putting forth
right? And then it
legislation
starts to
with
put the
protected
house out of the market
classes,
for that
it's
area.
the absolute
So it's a
worst
combination, and I
law
was
to
walk through in mine, and I
prosecute.
thought,
And
it didn't
they
make
give no
sense, right? It
definitions.
didn't. And
at all.
you go down through on that street.
How, if you
people's
tell
parking
someone who
So
has
it's more
12
for just
people in a
driveway and
family, they
off-street
cannot
parking.
rent a two-bedroom. They
So I'll
currently
at least
have
want to
grounds
maintain that option,
to
build
bring a
behind
suit
house in case
against
the homeowner-
you at the
that,
Ohio
like I
Civil
said,
Rights
closing
Commission.
Should be in 10 days.
Probably not HUD, because these regulations look like HUD regulations. However, the state of Ohio doesn't
I'm
have
hoping
them.
to sit in a sticking point.
So
Because
you
we're
end
looking
up
to close
with the
projects.
person
But it-
leasing out property
But it is a
that's
sticking point,
stuck
obviously.
with this
in
quandary.
With
And
the alley
yes,
and what we're doing.
an
Would you still be able to
administrative
put
judge
some kind
a
of
year
parking
from
area
now
behind the
may
house?
say that,
That
you know,
people
it's
could park, I mean,
unreasonable to
stone
12
it in
people
like you
would
did
live
the
in a
alley, and then
two-bedroom.
they can use the
No
alley to get
probable
to
cause
a
dismissed.
parking area?
That's
I
probably
know what you're
cost you
saying, I mean,
only
I know it'd be better to
$10,000
have
though to
the,
get to
to
this
have
point. And it's happening more frequently now than it ever has before. The last 3 years,
tripled their caseload down.
It doesn't go
These
with all
kind
the
of
other
complaints,
houses.
and unfortunately,
It stands out like
90%
a
of them are
sore
fraudulent.
I put the
They're
gravel in
not,
there.
they have no
Stop
ground.
notch. It goes in line, it
Then you have the other case in which
goes
you have
away
a
again.
landlord that
So,
purposely
yeah, you put a
takes a
garage anywhere,
house
right? But like I
and
said, the
rents
expense
it
was a big
out
thing.
to
And then when I got the house,
individuals
people clearly were
by the
parking.
bed,
You can see the rut.
such as
when
in
I got it,
Springfield.
running right
That
outside house parking. And then the
story,
13 months
that
I've
was
had
the
there,
one part that
I've never
was
seen
true.
nobody, and I
You could
worked
have
8 months.
15, 18
January to
people
August,
living under
mid-August,
one
I got it
roof,
done.
all
All
paying rent to the
weekends and
landlord
some
per
weekends.
bed.
I never seen
And the
anybody use
neighbors
that.
now are
No,
infuriated.
and I'm sure
They're
people
like,
have. but
I
that
got
whole house
18
there,
cars in the
right?
front
And
yard
nobody
up
ever
and down the
maintained that
street.
alley until I
If
took
you went to
ownership
Gerard,
of
there's
cleaning
not
out
room
all
for
that
2
rust,
extra
cleaning out the
cars.
litter.
They tried to tear a
From
house
89,
down there.
33,
It's a living
89,
fight.
34.
If you're in their
That's
parking
gonna be the
spot
other day.
and you're loading a
Nobody's taking
house,
initiative.
they
I'm not
are
giving you
just
a
cussing.
smoking
And you
mirror.
look
I'm
around and
giving you
say,
here
something
now.
wrong with these
That's
people?
something.
And you realize, no, they just don't have anywhere to park. There's just 3 or 4 cars per house. It's all multifamily. And the streets in there, I'll say we much off-street parking. So the southern section, you want to protect against that as well. You're going to own 6.5 feet of it. I don't think that you're concerned about the northern 6.5 feet. These houses are owner occupied. He's going to own and 28 feet of it, and a Y-way through lot number, decide to have 10 kids, and they all live underneath one roof, might restrict you from getting to the back of your house. I don't think that's what you're trying to govern against. If you're gonna pay for a survey, have you considered maybe trying to govern against 6.5 acres? Single individuals living under 13 feet off the back of his alley down south, and then he gives you that 28 foot at 6.5, so you can get to what's remaining of yours behind the house.
And they converted it to a 6-bedroom.
I think you bring up a point. It's not something that I'm gonna need to look at that because you've
Does
seen
the
something I
state
saw
give any guidance?
10 minutes ago.
I mean, I know Ohio loves to be a home rule state, which means we're just gonna kick it back to the local municipality
No, they
to
don't
figure it
give any
out.
guidance.
Do they give you a minimum
6-7.
guidance, like, so say,
If indeed.
one of the other hot button topics
anything
is a
more
building
than
code.
What he's asking for.
We use this, the guidance for the state of Ohio for the building
Vacated.
code.
He
Do they
would have
give any
6.5
guidance
feet
similar to
at
that
the rear of
for
that.
overcrowding? Do they say
What would be
minimum
the
definition of
south
overcrowding is
side.
X?
State of Ohio does not.
See that 13.
If the
Yeah.
suit is
South side,
brought
he
in
would
federal
have
court,
half
either
of it.
by,
Similar to what
in
you
this
see
case,
what they did.
it's a
I don't
HUD
know, shows you
violation.
on your
If they go the
shows
federal
where they
route,
went through,
however, the damages,
88,
the federal route are less than they are the state.
Right.
And
So
split
every attorney
between
that does this
88,
type of work
88.
guides their
Somebody did
client
this.
to file their
Gave them
complaint with the
half to
state.
one, half
And the
to the other.
state will
I mean,
not
if this deal
define
isn't done
what
correctly,
occupancy,
theoretically,
overcrowding
he
and
could
occupancy
own,
is. They don't give
and
you any
that's why I
standard
say
at all.
seeing this, because these
just
pictures
up
don't
to
do
you.
this justice. He could
So-
actually put block in
Maybe
between
Christian,
an
to
area
your
where
point, I think
we
the
were trying
intent
to
of coming up with a
turn around
definition
and
is
go
less about
Well,
another
going out
route.
and
that's not his
finding
request, but you're
people
saying
that are
Daniel.
Yeah,
living
I
like
understand
this
it's
and
not
more,
request.
if
So,
I'm trying to find a way.
it comes up as an issue, then we have this tool.
So the south side of that
Hey,
property, I
you
deliberately
know,
didn't ask.
sleazy landlord,
Right, 'cause
or hey, insanitary
I want to be as fair as I could with the least amount of options, affecting anybody that has a
structure.
problem.
You
So that's
can't
why I said,
be
hey,
doing
just
this.
on the east side of it. So he has.
You could also,
potential
by
for
the
some
way,
of
if
that
you're worried
property.
about it 15
And
years
I'm
down
gonna
the
play
road,
ball on that, so I can
you
get the
could
car
addendum
to
the
the back of
overcrowding
my house,
paragraph.
and then enough room to
and
skinny back in the
call it a
backyard. So much
conditional
use for the
use.
garage, there's options there.
In other words, if
He
the
can still
family
have his
could, I don't
purpose, he's
think
got
there's
3
any
accesses. We'll be off south.
zoning board that's,
Prospect
guy
Street,
comes up and
all
says, hey, I
the
got this
alleyway,
violation.
Or at the,
That says I got too many people in my house, we're a
He's
family.
got 3 accesses.
You know, or you make an exemption to it. I tell you, Mike,
Yeah, and I was thinking not so much
this was
as
an
putting it
open
in the
alley
zone
that's maintained by the city.
but more
That's a total
giving
business.
it
This
as
is
a
an alley that's just
definition that
abandoned.
the
The
city
city's
could
not willing to
use.
maintain it. I don't like to come up with shared driveway conditions
You know,
because
as
now
they're
that homeowner has to fight to be
looking
the
at
one that uses that alley to who's gonna maintain it, and then it never gets maintained. It's probably done. The city gets involved because the
That way,
public
when
doesn't know we don't
here, but
maintain
it's like if
it.
something is
Now the
rising to
public
the
that's using the alley calls and says,
It's a
there's a
problem.
pothole that just swallowed my car.
Something else that
So
they
it
could
sticks
say,
us in the middle
hey,
of the mess to
you're
begin
really
with.
starting to push the limits
To end.
here,
So
or, you
to
know.
prevent that, I think the alley needs closed for that
We at
specific
least at the
reason.
local.
I just want to do it in a way that
level
doesn't
define that as-
squelch his rights.
The last part,
If he would take all,
person.
he could do any deal he wanted to Melissa Conley.
Yeah, 1,000 square foot house, you had 10 people in there.
They were to come back to
Might be an
the
issue.
edge of
But you could
8933.
Put this definition of family
In my picture. it's
in the
just
code
about-
book,
it- it
as
looks
a
like it might
definition,
bring
use
you in
that
off
word.
Devon
It
Street,
has to be family,
maybe.
so then,
Well, I don't know, we'd have to see, I
kind of
don't
to
know,
Josh's
my
point,
picture shows
the
the
other
tree,
points
I
where
don't know
if
if
it's
that's
a rental
enough.
and they're
I
not,
don't know that
by that
we may
definition,
be able to
family,
even
you
give a little
have
bit more.
grounds to
If
evict or
he
whatever.
brings down the trees
do,
on the
where if it's,
north
they're
side
all
of that property,
family,
like
whether
this, so
that
that
be
you can
extended or
actually
not,
see.
the
He
definition's
gets
there,
all that,
and you go, okay,
then
well,
I
they
get all of the
exceed this
rest to
square footage, but they're
redirect
family.
traffic instead
They
of
have
pushing it
the-
out on Devon Street, I'll push it out.
Right, okay, yeah.
So could you just put total non-family occupancy exceeding?
You want all the rest starting from there?
So that garage,
8933,
pretty much lines up.
It's not really that.
what's that?
We have non-family, we have family as a, we have a definition, so.
No.
Yeah, no, that's,
Well,
And
I want to
maybe
be able to
immediate
get to the back
family.
of this property, so I don't,
Means,
my
you
picture
don't
doesn't,
have-
I don't believe my picture
Don't
shows that. I really don't. What I'm looking at, but mine.
I would still say that's part of the family.
Mine is,
But
mine
is
is
that
the,
cousins and nieces and nephews?
right.
Yeah,
At what point
we all
you
have
say-
a GIS map.
The whole
I
reason
think
this
what
is
you're,
being brought up is
yeah,
not
I
for
think
that
that's what you're looking
scenario.
at as well.
right.
Can I show you?
We want to protect families, but we also want to protect people from being exploited.
Yeah.
Just for my
No,
curiosity, why didn't
the
you
family
it's
needs to be-
considered sanitary driveway on the west side?
The family needs to be.
Well, there's more space.
There's another way you could put it.
Not enough room, I'm just curious.
Decide it to be
It doesn't load.
strictly to landlords.
You own a house, like, it makes zero sense.
In other words, don't rent to
I
10
agree, I
people,
was just out there 2 days
in
ago.
a 1,650 square foot home.
Right, so, yeah, I get amazed in the alley.
Leave the family, single family
You
houses.
tell us that people have parked over the years, and whoever lived there, right, brought it out. Some alley, they parked there, and they.
Anybody that gets onto this line.
Yeah, nobody else is cleaning up that alley, right?
Just had-
It's not an easy piece of legislation.
He's nowhere, he ain't cleaned up, right? So give it back to me.
It can be done, but we might want to put it off till the next meeting.
And we're all now. Ask him, they're the next one every day. Ask him what scenarios.
I like the district on the family, I just think if there's no past district. How many feet are
Is there a cutout, like, on the east side?
That came from one of your,
Yeah, it came from the village originally.
Because on this one side here,
You know, my, the reference material, it did come from.
I would want like there to be a missing section.
Well, what I do
I
is
list out the things, you know, slippery house, boarding house, lodging house, et cetera. If you're going into that much detail, there's some effort into this.
Yeah, he said
I did not mean that.
That's all you need
I
to
just
do
think
is
like-
split this difference, like somebody was saying. Go to 28 linear feet.
Yeah. We're just visiting him and his mom.
And he's got.
He can have all of it.
So then what we'll take
It
to
stops
get
right there
it
to
in.
of our, both coasts. And he can have all of this.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
It makes sense to build that access to that
That was,
Well, we don't.
that's
a
kind of
That's why I said,
definition.
yes. Yep.
I don't know how we
Kind of chart
try to navigate this.
that I took notes that I
Yeah, we
like.
can't make that deal.
Let's ask that the survey,
Josh can get
low, moderate, location of the house.
yeah, it looks like the house is right on the
That
property.
way, I think council would get intentions away from a house. You know, that might make it
That gives him.
a decision easier to make, or, you know, if those factors are not
I want more options to direct the traffic.
C1 and C. C1A.
I think that's what
Yeah.
explained it out.
And we were kind of, had a 7-1 split with just one wanting it. So
You can just,
you know,
of 26.
it was moderate to,
Yeah.
restrictions on that topic.
6.5 feet that way.
Opioid treatment program.
And he's gonna be able to do,
Again,
both of them are gonna be able to do what they wanna
Academic
do.
principal use.
And somehow, I mean, you know,
And then that highest.
put a concrete block wall or walls, just something, yeah.
I checked this, which it was these two, right?
On that.
Those two?
Recovery housing on all 3 levels. We opted for that most strict version, which would put it in multifamily housing and the commercial.
Well,
C3, which is downtown and has the outlines and the parking.
They don't wanna be close.
And that was unanimous, we're all pretty comfortable with that, because we really didn't want it in dense neighborhoods, we didn't want it, we wanted in areas that were already.
That tree's
designed
well old.
to be dense.
It's the brush that's leaning over. The tree's not.
Rentals, we're going to get a moderate approach. Very skip those single families altogether. I put your in the R2 as a conditional use.
What I'm saying is,
R3 as a use. And then
beside my house.
C3, 3, 5.
It's
Kind of
basically.
everywhere except for single family homes and those.
Right, and
Just that, I think at least.
is it okay that I go use?
If you
Yeah.
agree that how
I mean,
we
and
got to
technically
that
there's
and that
street too, so like.
is how I would explain it to the council members. That way I don't have to give them the whole. From the piece from here to here, page, but let's say the first.
You should tell them they missed the good one.
I feel like as a whole, our last
You should tell the rest of your.
best case, everybody getting a little bit and taking a little bit. So I felt like it was a pretty well balanced.
I would agree with that. The next door neighbor's gonna do it to the back of that
You know,
house.
if you feel this is
What difference is
accurately
it?
reflects
That's 20
of
feet.
what we're sent on.
Can we get them? Like, we both have agreed on the same thing.
Surrounding, and possibly family might come out and Mark doesn't get a chance to look at it, or they if he doesn't, where it is.
That's the,
And maybe,
You know, 'cause I like
members will have it, some suggestions to us with regard to how it's this is the time. And
I don't know what a rooster, where a rooster is. Did you see this?
So.
I know we voted on
Okay, so how many people know that? I'm measuring my house.
About 28 and a half. About 28 and a half.
About half of that 8933.
Yeah.
About half of that. Yeah. And then,
Put the exit off.
All right, folks, on to new business.
and then you have all the
You
rest.
got the numbers, everything is.
Yeah, here, hold on. Hold on.
I would be inspired.
And, so this, we've got South Prospect, we're up 4.
So let me ask you this.
Those parcels on,
Give me that.
they were up 4
Are
phases.
you going to put in your half?
That's
Right there. So I
We're
didn't-
behind them, here's the alley, running north and south.
Who's gonna hold
There's
it?
also one that
Yeah.
vacated that.
People walk out of here and say the person is actually owns that company. Doesn't want to
To do our city council,
About this way, we're gonna sit
whether to vacate it. I'm gonna skip a little bit so you can see the image. Well, I guess on first
I guess
page.
you can still hold it.
Only this alley.
We did something.
The
Oh,
side.
that's what I was gonna say. That
to
house
the
is
north
literally
road. That part, which is Smith Street, we're not talking about that.
because it's those
part that's
these are just their
immediately
own
adjacent to his
Oh,
son's
it's
property.
someone's basement.
And that would kind of factor into our recommendation. It's important that the remainder of that stay open. That may become issues for the
30 days of public hearing.
So the reason for the request, Mr. Johnson has, rehabilitated his house,
If I could
great.
have it before.
I think it has an abandoned house in fact, so it went from being abandoned structure to now, something suitable for habitation.
You wanna see it?
We'd like to sell it, we'd like to be able to have the driveway that proposed, as it turns out, that is in now. All of the alleys that we're
Just mean you're gonna
discussing
call a
all around this property are actually
meeting
unimproved.
next Monday to go over this.
So, 78.5 feet. 78.25.
But, judging by.
It looks like it should be, it looks like from Evans, it should be about 78.25
The house
feet.
might really be butting up right now.
That'll take you right to the middle of that 893 feet. Because if you look at 50 feet that the girls have there, and then 28, and then 28.25, 78.25 feet from Evans, from where that alley, or where the alley
And
starts.
then these two here
That
are
takes you
owned by
right
the
to the
same
middle of
person,
893.
8933 and
That's
8934.
exactly, those are exact,
So we do want
based
to
on what
make
he
sure
did.
that they can all get to their parcels if they were sold separately. And that's where they could get in, at least, this one's owned by one person, back alley.
Oh, for sure.
More
Yeah,
southerly
that'd give you
could
enough to
provide
get around.
access to that. The middle parcel is the one that may potentially be locked off.
Yeah, this is
The reason is because ODOT being a
His
state
is
route may or may not.
56.5 plus 28.25.
So,
Alright, let's,
It looks like.
it does, so we asked, and that's what
I'm
we,
gonna try to summarize this up.
contacted,
Both you
ODOT.
gentlemen realize this is a recorded meeting,
Here,
correct?
the email from the.
All right, so what we're proposing is to close the alley
Well,
from
firm,
Evans
but they don't
down
actually have any
to
driveway.
the southern road,
They
which
had on
is
record, so those, even
Smith.
though it looks like a
From
cutout,
Evans
or
to
looks like there had
Smith.
been one, there's nothing really on the
You-
record. If they are inside the city
So I don't have a
limits,
woman,
the city would have
neighbor
jurisdiction over the permitting.
Melissa.
Based on the audit, website, it looks like the parcels may be.
If I need to get you a letter, let me know. So I can
They might
email
not.
the letter.
Okay, does this sound accurate? You're willing to take his 6.5
So it's
feet
considered a
north
category
of the
3,
middle section of
40 mile an
lot
hour. And then they have a certain, every,
8933. You're willing to take
speed
his
limit, then
6.5
has how
feet
far
up to your
driveways
neighbor,
can
and
be
what's her name?
apart, place.
Or
So
Melissa
at
Conlon.
40 miles,
Melissa
they like
Conlon.
to have them like
He's
305
willing
feet
to
apart.
give you that
At the
6.5
very
feet,
minimum,
you're willing to
50.
take it. In exchange for that,
So,
you're willing to give him your 6.5
so in
feet
theory,
on the west side of the
I think these
alley,
parcels are
south
56
the
feet
middle
wide,
point of
so
lot
comes to shove, they
8933
might
in
want to
exchange,
That's correct.
drive each one,
okay? And
or
you approve of that?
That's correct.
they could
Mr.
share, it
Kildown?
looks like the 8934
I
kind
do,
of almost
but you have
shares,
not addressed
or, is right along the
his
property line of
6
the
inches or 6
houses
feet
to the south, and there's a
at
big
the
drive.
rear of
approaching on their
8,
lot.
6,
So
7,
ODOT has
on
an access management
where
system.
we're
where
currently
they
talking about
share
being
or
and
they can
currently
space
no
out
funds.
funds. So that was our,
And see, on the
main
backside of that
concern
land, 8,
in terms
8,
of
6,
the
7,
location of that
he has,
alley.
if the
We really don't
alley's
have a problem with
vacated,
being,
he has the rights to, as
You know,
done with 866 and 865, he
vacated,
has the right to
because that's
half
gonna
of
make
that,
that
half of
parcel.
that.
No, I think-
wider.
That southern section,
I think he said he would give up his half all the way to Smith Street.
Yes, that, yeah,
There's
I'm
no
not sure that's
utilities
how.
or utility
I think that
easements
is what he
present.
said.
How you said it?
There, it's not really disruptive to anything.
We're looking to
previous
vacate-
alley.
He said he's
vacation
vacating it
was
all the
in,
way from Evans to
That
Smith.
doesn't-
Power shovel, so we've got the whole
South
rest
to
of blocks alley,
Smith
you know,
Street.
rear
That doesn't
alley
go all the way to
is
Smith Street.
vacated.
No.
It takes a butt and then goes down.
So in
It turns, it
favor,
goes beside the
it gives
driveway.
the
and then
appropriate
it's
setback to
behind
the
the
existing structure, now it's
Right-
not
And
hundred
then
on
on
property line.
8881,
Gives
there's
him,
a spot.
gravel driveway is already in
in the
place,
land
the alley
there
is
where the alley
unimproved and
ran through there.
unused, so again,
For
it's
years,
an
Mike
improvement.
and the lady who lived in there was
89,
Aldrich.
93.
They just kinda half
It
mowed
looked
one
like
and
it
half
had
mowed the
at
other.
one point
So,
a
I mean, they lived
driveway
with
and
each other for
maybe they
years.
could get their own driveway in the future. 8934 still has access through the more southerly, bit of the alley.
But then
even
here,
though it's not
but if it's not done, if it's, well, it doesn't matter. This guy already told you,
And,
it doesn't matter. If I
the
come
house has
back,
been
we don't do it right
recently
now,
rehabilitated.
and I come back and he says, you know, that was great, thank you for giving me
Our
that, but I
arguments
ain't giving you that
against
real
is
property.
again, they just might not honor those
Seven
other
and other
So
driveway
what we could do is just make that L, right? I think you answered it.
permits on
And then
prospects.
all
So,
of that out,
in
halfway
that
from
case, we would
8933
be
south, all the way behind.
blocking somebody from having proper access.
Let me,
Just real quick.
Mr.
I
Kildare.
have a question.
Mhm.
Yes.
So, on lot 8933,
That's what we're
I
doing.
believe you said that the same owner
Mr. Kildare has a.
owns the south lot 8934.
With
Yes.
it running behind
Is
your
the
home.
structure
If
that's on
everything goes to plan,
8933,
on
is that
Friday,
a
you no longer
garage?
make that
I
call.
believe so.
The new owner,
Okay,
the new owner may say, I don't want people running behind my house.
So there's another way.
and
So,
clearly they already have
We have
access
to do
to
it
the
now,
south of their
while you
lot,
still
kind of
own
splitting
it,
that lot
to
line as you
prevent any of
suggested.
that.
Right.
Just to be clear, we're
Now,
only here
you have an
discussing
arrow pointing at the
the east side
driveway
of that lot.
Correct.
We're not-
You
We're not
see,
vacating
that
that
one
south
is
side at all, so that's
approved
another discussion.
I need to
There's
reword
no
this.
question there.
Yes, that one's.
I'm looking
So
at
the
a map
only
that
one that's
doesn't
in question
indicate
is
Smith Street.
8933.
And now when I look at the
Currently, there's no
GIS,
house
Smith
there.
Street's after it makes the
If they
turn
went
west
in the effort to
and then
split
comes
up
back
those lots,
south.
And
So
They actually are already
The best
split.
way to
That's
say
the thing,
this
is they already
is
exist on their own, so they could be
you're willing to
sold at any
accept
day
the
of
6.5
week
feet
as they are.
As to,
of
They
the
didn't go to
alley,
the effort of splitting it, they just never went to the
north
effort of
of
joining.
the center point of
They happen to
lot
be in the same ownership, but they're technically two
8933.
parcels. That
Mr. Johnson's
meet
willing to take
minimum
that
lot
6.5
sizes
feet.
for each to
Mr.
have potentially
Kildare,
two homes on it.
in exchange for giving you that 6.5
Now, is
feet,
there-
would then take the 6.5
what's the
feet on
process
the west
if they wanted to
side,
put a home,
which is
if they split
south
those
of
lots
the
off
middle point
and
of lot
a person bought that and wanted to put a
8933,
home on
down to
8933?
the point
They can do it
at
right
which
now, 'cause
the
it is
alley
its own
begins to
parcel.
head west.
But the driveway
That
would
would
still
remain
have to be
open
separate?
until someone closed
That
it.
goes through
He
ODOT.
could use it, you could use it.
So again, some of these things are a little out of our
Mr. Kildare,
control,
is
but we
that-
just want to bring it up.
No, and it's not what he and I have agreed
Because again, those
upon.
are two parcels right now, they have to be.
So if somebody moved in, 8867,
Not
and
an
we're
issue.
vacant, and you said, hey, I want that alley, I want my
Somebody said, well, I need
six,
to make money,
six
and
and a
I've
half
got two
feet,
parcels,
and
and
that's
I'm gonna
what's
sell
in
them
this.
off, and, buyer
So he's
beware,
one.
whatever.
And L is
You
that property.
get a
There's only
permit
one
or
side,
you
one
don't.
on-
I
lots on the
think,
south side.
And you're willing to give him that?
again, some of that's up to
Yes, yeah, he can have
ODOT.
that.
At least
So
there
we're
is
editing the
potential for them to
application
have
right now, so that when we send it to council.
A driveway.
50 feet apart.
Don't you think at this point, since you own 8891 and then you own all the lots with
From
right
reading
to
their
that,
email,
that you should go
the
ahead
bullet
and
points 3 and
vacate
4, and then the
that portion
questions they
of
raise
Smith
make it
Street?
sound as though they're not
Eight,
inclined
what do you
to
mean?
grant any.
Yeah, you
I
say you
know,
driveway
that's
thought
what
8880.
To that, to the
So
state
I-
route,
in
to that
this-
state route.
in this-
Because the first question is, why do you need to vacate that alley?
Hasn't been used in years.
That's
You're
not very,
correct.
that's not
It
like,
runs right
and it's
behind
like,
the
so
drive.
we don't really feel
So
comfortable doing
instead of
this,
routing the
and
traffic
why does
over
that
to
alley
Evans,
need to be
which to
vacated?
route the traffic to
So
Smith.
that to me says,
It gets what he wants.
we
gets
might
what we
do it,
want.
but it'll be at this
He
rate.
gets half of this
Because we're not
here.
gonna, we're really not gonna be
enough
inclined to do it.
So that when you.
We
you
can
still
we can
come in
operate
and get onto
under
property,
the
And we take.
the
all
aspect
the
of there are
rest
no
of it.
home, there's
But we
only
need
one
it done
home on that,
before we give
those
it to
two
him, because
lots
if
now.
his,
and you roll the
his
dice,
buyer at 8867 says,
or
hey, look, I
we
want to
can
expand my backyard into this.
look forward and say, for the
That's what we're
future,
referring to right now.
any
We're talking about
prospective
updating the
people in the
application.
future,
But yeah, that's.
Well,
we wanna be able to give them
Fair,
options
it's
to
fair
get to their
that-
house.
So she's gonna update this
So-
application, so it's just not that strip.
Which
It's
would
gonna
be
the
from
whole
the
L
rear.
to Smith,
Right.
from Evans to
Yeah.
Smith. I mean,
Easier,
on paper, this seems like
More,
Yeah, that would give clearance to that home that would be around the property line. that, but when you know that whole thing about the driveway, it makes it really hard to
You don't know anything.
grant this when there's potential for a deadlock in there, or
Is there a point in which
All
right.
some of us talk about this? Because you're asking a lot of questions, I can answer them all really quick going back and forth.
That would be great.
I represent an entity that owns 7 malls.
Are you so thinking?
To get
My
to
name is Tim O'Connell. I represent an entity that owns 7 parcels.
Talking about.
We own 933, 934, 935, 936, 937, 881, and 880.
To this applicant.
We are not prepared to bring to you our intentions with this
yeah,
land.
you're basically,
But we will be coming to
the
you as
portion that
we
goes
zone
west past that's already vacated.
commercial.
So you're just vacating the rest of this alley.
This
Okay.
isn't
To the
the
rear
first
of
time
80.
this
What you're
alley
saying is he can have your
has been
6.5
attempted
feet of the entirety of that alley, excepting the northern section from the midpoint
said years ago.
of
They don't want you to do
8933
that because
to your
this
neighbor's
property was owned by an old family called
You're
Destiny.
gonna allow him to have the 6.5 of the alley
And
and
there is a road cut.
alley to the
You
south
can
and
see
the
it
alley
plainly up there,
to the
real
east,
close to
accepting that portion. That's what you're
8932.
looking at.
That's correct.
Where the arrow
So you got an
is.
agreement?
But you
All
said
right, you
today
got an
that
agreement.
maybe it was unauthorized.
I'm gonna call a motion. No, I got an agreement, no hands.
No, I just wanted to point out all property owners along the alley have been notified. So there's no,
Late 70s,
We
early
need a
80s.
motion?
I need a motion.
So,
50 feet, it's.
All right,
we were supposed
I'm
to
gonna make a
propose,
motion that we
any vacation of that.
agree
of that
to
land.
halfway,
Admittedly, we
basically
would,
between
As I said, I'm
8933.
not prepared to go
You get
through
the
with
northern part of the
intentions
alley,
with it,
he gets the
but we
southern
just
part
did
of the
acquire
alley.
880 and 881.
Oh, the 13 feet,
Gives us a
Yep,
clearer picture of
13
what we
feet
were going to do
north,
with,
and he gets 13
933.
feet south, at the midpoint of 8933.
We are in
Good?
talks
All right.
for land across the street. And Newport has been negative on releasing
Exactly, 78.25, half of the 50,
Not saying that they
56
wouldn't
and a
be
half.
futuristically, but they're really not. And it's in the conversation at the moment.
Aye.
All
Um,
right, gentlemen, you have an agreement.
So, I guess what I'm saying is that the entity, although there are some separate names here, we do have a contract and or in a corporate name. Eventually, they'll all be placed into a trust.
We have to make a
And the lawyers are working on all that now.
Motion, and I'll
It
second
is,
to adjourn. All in favor, signify
we
by
just
saying
acquired
Aye.
880 sheriff's sale. We would have gotten this house, we were after it for years.
Okay, so you're Ashley.
But no one could get.
Oh, I have a mic.
If you will, whatever terminology. you
I drew,
use.
I drew on that. Who's?
The bank, closed on the young man.
Okay,
Really
those
very
are all
nice
the
guy,
words.
but he had no help in
No.
releasing the property.
Well, Jack.
So anyway, it had to sit there, it sat there for years.
Oh, duh, I'm fine.
Stripped of property, stripped of everything
Well, no,
inside.
oh, are there only 5? No, there's one more.
We obviously got our eye on it.
Yeah, but he's 3.
In this front.
Right.
Oh. Gets into the land
I
bank.
see. I mean,
And that's
see, that's
where
what
I
happens when I
approached
flood
the land
into
bank.
I
I guess there was some struggle getting it out of the land bank, but it did get out there.
The only
And it is
reason
now
I know how to use
refurbished homes.
Probably about
We
28
want
months.
to be with neighbors.
Yep.
Thank you,
We want to
everybody.
do a good job. But the garage in 8933 used to be a bait store. So that was commercial, and maybe now, how these properties are all zoned currently, I do not know. I can't, because we're now just in the stages of conforming the plan of what we intend to do. The parcel 8936 and 8937 is a drive-through. It is 90% complete. They applied for the permits for hoods,
Okay, they are zone commercial.
all of them?
Well, everything fronting Route 4.
Everything running around forward, well, super, it's gonna be less. On 881, there's a house, and 880, and so we intend to take the house down.
Okay.
The garage behind it is what we were after. Those would be the only two we're looking to create commercial. I mean, I can tell you this is a venue. I can tell you that we have high aspirations for sidewalks, fencing, lots of things. Something this side of town's never seen, and actually something Marion's never seen. You see it in bigger cities, but you never really see it here.
Mr. Kildare,
Yes.
can I interject real quick?
Sure.
Question, do you own 389 Evans? They're on the corner of Evans Road.
32.
No.
No,
389 Evans,
no.
and you own the
No,
house.
is that there in the corner 8932?
Yes,
Parcel number
yes.
893,
Yeah. No, and thanks for asking, I don't know why you did, but I don't even know how it got built. Because this was built in a period of time when Newport Steel was purchasing up everything in the area due to complaints of dust and noise and problematic. And everyone who owned houses down there thought they might make a little money because the Newport's would be forced to fix these issues. Well, Newport bought a lot of them, but they also redid their property with high fencing, dirt, to keep noise in place, and they have their new breather system, whatever that is, that curtails their smoke and their dust. Listen, there's still some dust there. If you parked your car there for a week, you'd come back to a very dusty vehicle. You wouldn't notice it if you were there for a few hours.
Let me ask, how wide's this vacation? How wide is this alley?
13 feet?
13 feet? You currently use the
This is the
rear, I
rehab,
assume,
this is the rehab. Right now,
Mr.
it's
Johnston?
Yeah.
So he needs a driveway that's already there.
Well, the concept that no one drives down that right there would be a misconception. I've driven down it in the past 2 weeks. As a matter of fact, as soon as I saw the gravel go down on top of it, I was in the, I don't know where I was, what office, whose office, but raising a hand saying, I'm not sure why someone would do that. It's an alley. I'm not sure why someone would put rock down like that. That's an alley. It's an expense that they didn't need to go to. There is parking for this house in the front, a lot of this house, and it has a very deep, as you can see, back lot. Doesn't need to be tamed a bit, trimmed, easily fenced in for any traffic problems or any ideals of anyone causing anybody any problems in regards to having kids play in the lot, that kind of thing. As I've said, our goal is not to be a bad neighbor, but our goal is to definitely not give up landlocked situations like could be 8934 could become landlocked. And that would be a problem if indeed you don't approve the other parts of the zoning. You don't approve, well, pretty much you don't approve what we want to do there, then we would be forced to sell it off in lots, and if we had to do that, we'd be back to a fight to say, well, you can't get on it, ODOT doesn't want you on it, or I'd have to give you an easement off of 933 or 8935. And the truth is, although we don't have this data back yet, but at the rear of 867, which is the house, 8934 and 8935, in that area right there where this kind of tees is a low area. When it rains, there will be water everywhere. And so there will have to be a tile placed in here at some point by someone to control the water. That water, when it happens, will fill up the back area of 8934, that corner area of 935, and it will actually go over to the parking lot of 8936. And that is a blacktop lot, but it will be covered with, and is covered now with dirt or the remnants of water because there's a problem in this area. I have had someone from the city there, and, yes, and we stood, what's his name? He's really,
Scott.
real nice guy. But you're gonna just stand at the corner of 8936 and you can just see it. I mean, you can just see where that land just kind of goes, I don't know, it just goes down, and for some reason, the water just comes up everywhere. So, with that said, I mean, I think I've kind of covered all of our points. The problems with landlocking, problems with access, on some plans that we've had, that definitely is an exit, or an exit. We would ask you to turn it into a one-way eventually.
The whole alley.
Huh?
That whole
And
alley?
we could do the whole alley.
Well, what-
If it meant that we were not gonna be able to do it to the other end of the alley, we'd do the whole alley, one way. Or we might make it two ways coming behind. The alley going the other direction is gonna come up from the back side of Third Base Drive-Thru, in between the house on 881. So you can see it. Yeah, it's a tree line.
Yes.
Yes.
And then what will it do? So I understand it's gonna come up
Well,
north from Smith Street.
I'm not saying to you today that is our plan. You asked if both directions, and I was just saying it could be, if that's what you want.
No, I just wanna make sure that, you know, we're using words and we're all just looking at various pictures.
Mm-hmm.
You're saying that you are.
This image, I think, is one easiest to follow the parcel numbers.
Right.
Those of you.
You're
Mr.
saying,
Kildow.
okay, so you're saying that you own or are soon to own.
I need to let the applicant say a few words and then
Oh,
we'll
sure.
come back and
No,
forth if it's all right.
Yeah, I thought he was asking me something. That's pretty much like I said, I think you've covered all that why that it shouldn't be pushed to the council.
Mr. Johnson, just give your name for the record when we get up here.
Shane Johnson.
Can I ask you a few questions, Shane,
Yes.
before we get started? So Mr. Kildow, or the people he is associated with, do not own 389 Evans, the house there on Evans and the corner of Evans and Ford.
Correct.
You've got,
Family. Who owns that's Melissa Conklin. She's the director of the Harvest, the Head Start program. If you go to Motomar any day of the week in the morning, you'll meet Gwen, she'll meet your coffee. She's a sweet lady too. So I got to know them well over the course of the year.
have you had a talk with her about that?
Absolutely.
What she
tickled to
said?
death somebody's taking care of the neighborhood. Sorry if I get a little, I don't like being in front of people. So anyway, talking to
Well, let me go further, and then I'm gonna clear the air for you, I hope. It's 13 feet. You vacate the alley, you get half of it. 6.5 feet's not wide enough to drive a car on. So at some point, you're gonna have to speak with your neighbor.
I did.
And purchase her half of the alley.
She'll give it to me. She wants nothing to do with it. She's tickled to death. I made the house beside her is nice, thrilled to death. So that family's there. I got the house the day after Christmas, and then that big white house on South Prospect Street at parcels 8933, 8934. No one's ever been there since the whole time I've been there. When I first got the house in January, there's a big dumpster in there. And then it was full. And I got this house, started cleaning everything out, had my dumpster. Somebody emptied that dumpster and threw it all in the woods out back, right? And if I would have picked all that up and filled up my dumpster, it'd still be there today, right? So I'm not giving you ifs and buts and candies and nuts, right? I'm here now. I'm giving you solid evidence. I was in line with the land bank for purchasing the property, making it lively for a neighborhood, for those that, right? Middle class, lower class, whatever you want to call it. And then for the community revitalists.
Take a breath.
Just get nervous being in front of people.
Well,
And for the Community Revitalization Act, right, that's what it's about, making it lively, getting residents back in there. Not talking commercial, been in Marion 49 years, right? If these ifs and buts are gonna turn into something, yeah, good luck, right? I mean, maybe not, haven't seen it yet, right? That's vacant there, the drive-through, we used to go through there when it was open, that's currently not being occupied, I'm not saying this is gonna not open back up. But, right, you go down Evans Road, people got driveways coming in off the road. This house does, it's unorthodox, it's not typical, it don't look good, right? It makes sense to put that alley in there, or the driveway in there, the gravel. It's the reason the gravel went in. In having communications with the street and alley department, I said, can you guys maintain this alley? They said, no, we're not gonna do it, it's abandoned. I said, there's huge potholes in there, I bought the house, right? Bringing it back so it looks good for the neighborhood, not gonna do it. I said, so what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna take a tractor, I'm gonna grade that alley. I'm gonna put gravel down through there. So it takes care of all the hazards, right? The potholes, it's unsightly, it's just not good, right? So when I bought the house, in addition to that, and they were fine with that, they said, yeah, that's fine, right? Okay, I'm not gonna stop you from doing it. So that's why I did that, that's why the gravel's there, okay? So, in trying to sell this house as part of my deal, not deal, or my obligation to the land bank to get a family in there is, I've had two people interested with an offer on it, right? And it's been on the market for about 100 days, and they walked away from it because that's not a driveway. Well, no, it's not. You kind of got to go in there and you got to go back behind the house and park, right? So it's unsightly to do that. And I never want to put anybody at disadvantage, so when I looked into this about vacating that alley, I said, well, I'm only interested on the part that adjoins the property on the east side of the road. So it allows coming in off of Smith to go behind the drive-through, hang a right, and you can go into parcel 8934. That has the house on it. 8933 is just an abandoned garage. I mean, it's deplorable. I don't know why anybody would want to say that. And even coming off of Route 4, you can see remnants where they used to run up off of Route 4 in that direction. So another point is, if you come in off Evans Road and you head south on the alley that I'm trying to vacate, imagine you're turning awkwardly into that garage. You're not going to make that turn. You're going to be reversing, and then you get into that garage. So that vacated, that alley belongs to that house. It makes sense for street curb appeal from Evans Road. It makes sense for the drive-through. It works because they can get access from Smith Road to the back of their property, as well as from South Prospect Street. And then the house at 8934 can get access from Smith Road alley, as well as South Prospect Street. And then it's ifs and buts, right? If somebody ever sells that property and wants to put a house on it, then they can put an alley off South Prospect, or a driveway, off South Prospect, if that ever happens, right? But I'm here now, I'm trying to make this good now, for people now. So I got a guy who's wanting to buy this, and in 10 days I'm closing on it. So my obligation is to make this as part of the property, otherwise it's gonna be potentially the third person that the house is down 100% like a new construction, and nothing's happening to it, right? So if somebody owns all these properties, drive down Evans Road sometime, look at all the trash here and there, right? I drive down through there, I pick it up. I have for a year, right? I cleaned up all those woods back here. City won't take care of the alley, I cleaned it all up, right? So if I'm gonna put time and energy in that, and yeah, I'd just like for you to consider me getting that piece as part of the property, right? It just keeps it with the community and the new homeowners, I guess.
Can I pitch out an idea that might solve this conundrum? You don't have to close the whole alley. You can close half of it. Now, if Mr. Kildow is interested in future access to lot 8933, do you care about what happens to the southern portion of this alley as long as traffic generated from whatever he might have or not planned in the future doesn't come by your house? If half the alley turns into your driveway and gives you enough access to the backyard?
So I'm hearing what you're saying, Mr. Dennis. So if you go south on the alley, and you're heading south off Evans Road, you can see where that garage is on 8933. If you go off of the front of that garage where you pull in, facing north, you come around to the south, you pull in, you facing north into that garage. If you go off that garage line and head west, that'll leave, I think, enough in case the new homeowner would pull in that alley, and he can pull behind the house that I have and put a garage or put his car back here. It needs to be that much room.
Along the lines of what he's saying is that these pictures are a little deceiving. If, along the lines of what you just said, you might be able to get into a situation where the area between 8933, 8932, and 867 was reconstructed. You might be onto something there. But these pictures are very deceiving. If you look at where 867's line runs, that's like from his rooftop down. I mean, this picture doesn't show an inch.
Yeah, it does.
Between the building. I mean, are you looking at the same one I'm looking at? The pictures I have, the building is sitting on the line. The point, but if along the line where you were kind of going with that, there may be a possibility of kind of rerouting that a little bit. With 932 giving up a little bit, 899 giving up a little bit, making a little bit more room for him, but still allow traffic to move in and out. But eventually, traffic coming in on 867 is going to end up parking in some place behind that building. I don't see it the other way. I mean, yes, he is here, and yes, he has fixed it up. It's really cute. It's a cute little bungalow, no doubt about that. But the truth is that that doesn't vacate the other parcels, and we just acquired 881 and 880 4 months ago. So I mean, as you know, we can't do anything in 4 months. I mean, we're still in the planning stages. We still have plumbers looking at it. We still have how we're bringing the houses down. We're doing all kinds of things over there. Now, and we're also getting ready to open the drive-through. The drive-through inside is 95% complete.
Well, let me say this, there's two issues
Equipment and
here.
everything.
There's two issues here,
Yeah.
Tim. One, I would like, if you ever decide to build a house or whatever you decide to do on that lot at 8933, that's what everyone can see on their map. We don't see the addresses, but we can refer to it as the lot numbers. If you want access there, we don't want to put you in a position where you possibly couldn't get access from 4 due to ODOT. So if we allowed you enough alley in the back to create access to the back, if you couldn't get it to 4, I think that satisfies your issue. I don't care for the idea that, you know, a house by means has now put itself up against that alley, and you would open that alley up to a whole bunch of traffic. I mean, a 13-foot long alley or wide alley is